It's time for Quarantine Cabaret Cocktails with Robert Bannon and Lee Lessack.
Are you doing a time step?
Yeah, I'm ready to duet with Cory. I'm ready. I can shuffle off to Buffalo like no one's business.
I don't know if Cory's ready.
Oh,
but we'll see.
Cory, you better be ready. I failed out of tap school in 5th grade.
This is one of the great things about social media and stuff like that. I was on the phone with my dear friend Joanne, who I've known since high school. We didn't go to the same high school. She went to an all-girls Catholic high school, and they wouldn't let me in. But they always they always needed men when they were doing their musicals. So that's how we met. And she lives here in LA now, and we were just chatting about like what's been going on, because I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her like in a year, but I hadn't talked to her in a month or so. And we were just sharing like our favorite, Instagram accounts and whatnot. And she said, "Do you follow Cory Lingner?" And I'm like, "No, I've never heard of him." She's like, "Oh my God, you have to go check out his page. He makes all these incredible dance duet videos." And she's like, "I always comment on them and he always responds."
Oh, I love that. And he has amazing hair.
Well, there you go. That's half the battle right there.
I feel so old.
So I reached out to him and invited him on. And I said, "Do you have anything you're promoting?" And he said that he's doing a Valentine's concert. And long story short, it turns out that the producer, or one of the producers, I know very well from Indianapolis, because I work with a wonderful supper club cabaret jazz venue there called The Cabaret. And he is an entertainment reviewer. And I've known him for, 12 years or something like that. So there you go.
All roads lead to Indiana.
Small world. All roads lead to Indy.
How are you, Lee? How's your week?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
This whole thing down here is amazing.
Okay. I just have to say, this is our 42nd week doing this show. And normally I engineer and try and pretend that I'm looking right at the camera while peripherally I'm trying to see what button to push. And we are about to launch a new series, the Broadway cast reunion series. And our dear friend Jonathan Hawkins, who's been on the show before, is helping to produce that. He's doing all the production, the graphics, the overlays, everything. And he's going to engineer every episode for us. And so we had a meeting with him today, and he was helping us with some sound issues. And so he's here, and he said, I'll operate the show. And there's all this stuff happening that I've never seen before.
Well, where are you watching? Why don't you share and start a watch party right now?
I don't even know what that is, but I hope y'all do it, because it sounds fun.
I had told Lee before, where are you watching? We got messages this week from Germany and Russia and all over the globe about...
Well, you better be careful, because like in Russia, if you say too much, they put you in jail.
True. When that was my response. I said earlier before in our pre-show, she said, "Can I watch the show from Russia?" I was like,
I don't know. Can you?
That's not my decision.
I wish I could answer that, but I really can't. I'm not equipped.
Do you know what happened this week in a very optimistic way? I mean, I know that we're both artists, Lee and myself, and maybe this is too inside, but like I got called for an actual audition. It was a self-tape, but the fact that theaters and acting, it was for this show on Apple TV where they have a fake baby. I don't know. It's a scary show. M. Night Shyamalan's show. I don't know what it's called. But I had to be the daddy and the mommy.
That is the worst description of a show
I'm sure I just booked it after just explaining it in this way. Well, the guy from Harry Potter is in it with a fake baby, and I needed to be the daddy in the mommy and me class in the circle.
So what did you do?
I had 2 lines. I had to say, someone said, congrats to all the mommies, and I had to say, and daddies. That was my big line.
Right.
I think they came to the right person, to be honest. I think I'm looking at this. Yes, hashtag me and daddies. Jonathan, where have you been for 42 weeks?
I know. How have we done this without him? Crazy. Jonathan, do you want to come say hi to all your followers?
Yes, I was not prepared. I don't have my ring light on. I'm dressed I look like a teddy bear.
And that's different from any other Thursday.
My casual Thursday wear, exactly.
Jonathan, how many hours a week of programming did you produce during this quarantine?
So on average, I have 27 hours of virtual productions happening. So that's weekly, and then every week I do a bunch of special events. So I just did a big thing for Boston's Earth Day. I do a lot for during the election. I did a ton for Massachusetts government, the Bay State Democrats, Elizabeth Warren. I sort of got plugged into the virtual events world and started doing a lot of these. So it's been a blast.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it's nice to see you boys, and I'm glad I'm finally here.
Yeah, I'm glad you finally cleaned up our act.
Well, just you wait, boys. Just you wait.
I know.
We're so ready.
We have Robert. We have like someone writing a theme song for our show, an original theme song, which I'm excited about, and I'm very excited. So anyway, let's just dive right in here. In the last 42 weeks, we've done shows from like pandemic home renovations, that was last week, to disco shows. We've had Gloria Gaynor, Martha Wash, Denise Williams, Olita Adams. We've had the cowboy from the Village People, because you need one. And we've had a lot of our friends from Broadway and TV. And we started doing randomly Broadway cast reunions because a friend of mine who works at North Shore Music Theater outside of Boston introduced me to this young kid, Jake Ryan Flynn. Jake was Charlie in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory on Broadway, and he was in previews for Mrs. Doubtfire, which of course closed down like everything else before they even opened. So he was going to be on our show, and his mom and I were texting to coordinate, and his mom said, Jake thought it might be a fun idea to invite some of his castmates on if you're interested. And I thought, okay. We were like in week 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, early.
And so she said, okay, I'll reach out. And the next thing I know, we have the entire principal cast of Mrs. Doubtfire joining us. And it was such a joyful reunion because they had not seen each other, obviously. The youngest cast member, I think, is 6 or 6.5,
Little Avery, yeah.
Yeah. And Jake was 10 or 11. I think he's had a birthday since then. And it was really great to talk about, Broadway shutting down, but to hear the experience through the eyes of a 6 or 7-year-old and an 11-year-old, and then adults and Broadway veterans, and it was just really just a lovely episode. I remember it vividly. And Rob McClure, who starred as Mrs. Doubtfire, he and his wife just had a baby, and he was saying, if I was doing 8 shows a week, I'd be missing everything that I'm getting to witness right now. So our viewership that week spiked. So we knew that the audience liked it. So then we started planning them. We've only done a handful. We've done Frozen, we've done Aladdin, we've done Tootsie. We did the original 6 principal cast members of Sideshow, which was crazy because that's they have such a cult following That was crazy. Fun. Anyway, so in September, I was having a Zoom catch up, as they say, with a venue in Milwaukee that I do a lot of work with over the years that I just love. And my friend John, who programs there, said, I'm a big fan of your weekly quarantine show, especially your cast reunions. And he said, I wonder what you're doing to monetize that. I chuckled. Or, as they say in the theater, I chortled. And I was like, well, we're not. You know, Robert and I started this just for fun. And, you know, we have a virtual tip jar that 90% of the time I forget to put up on the screen. So oh my God, it's like God is here. So I said, sometimes we make $10 and we're investing it very wisely.
Yeah, thank you, my mom, Paul. Thank you for the tips and the people who have tipped.
So anyway, we talked about it, and John said, look, they're a major Broadway tour presenter. As a major presenter that's going to be dark for another year, I think there's value in these, you know, backstage conversations. And so he planted the seed. And I have to say, John Hassig has planted 3 seeds in my concert professional tour life, and each one of them has been a huge success. So I'm very grateful to him. And so Robert and I started talking about, like, okay, well, what would this be? And what are our goals? And our first goal was that we want to employ out of work Broadway actors. And we want to employ them as boldly as we can. So in order to do that, we needed to, you know, put a price tag per episode so that we could meet that goal. That was number one. And then in talking to various venues around the country that I have a personal relationship, I was hearing things like we get grant and sponsorship funding that comes often with some fulfillment expectation, like youth engagement, etc. We haven't been able to do that. Our doors have been closed. And so if they were to share a cast reunion of Frozen, that would certainly include youth engagement. So I thought, okay, well, that's great. And then a friend of mine in Dallas said to me, you know, from a marketing standpoint, we're presenting Hadestown, which won the Tony Award for Best Musical. It's a gorgeous production. But I would venture to say in most parts of the country, 80% of subscribers to tour venues have no idea what Hadestown is about. It's out there, you know? And so he was saying, he's the VP of marketing, and he said, this would be a wonderful tool to inform not only our subscribers, but hopefully our future ticket buyers. Mm-hmm. So Robert and I put all of that in a blender. And then we met 2 incredible individuals that work in Broadway PR and marketing and in tour PR and marketing. And they have led us through this, down this path, and advised how best to go about this. And so we've gotten the blessing of every producer, Disney, because I thought that was going to be, you know, a debacle, but they loved it. And the PR companies are helping us to engage with the casts. And so meanwhile, in 2 weeks, we launch the Broadway Cast Reunion series. It'll be on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It'll be every other week, and except for the first 2 are back-to-back. We've got Hadestown, we've got Frozen, Hadestown, Dear Evan Hansen. We're about to confirm Jersey Boys, I believe, for March 10th. Waitress, Chicago. I mean, they're all coming on board. There is a buzz about this. It's kind of crazy, but I love it.
It literally is beyond our expectations. The amount of work that it takes to get the permission and the moving parts to this, it's taken us months. We were talking about this back in the summer. So for it to come into fruition, it has really been little bit by bit. We thanks to a lot of help, we were getting there.
I'm excited. And just so everybody knows, our weekly show here we do because we love it. But this show is a ticketed show. If you're not connected with a venue, it's $15 a ticket. It's nothing. And you can just go to BroadwayCastReunion.com and all the schedule is there and the ticket links are there. And you can chat with the cast and ask questions with the chat feature and all that good stuff. So I just want to show you a little promo of the Broadway Cast Reunion. And when that ends, we have two friends that are going to join us here from Milwaukee.
Yes.
You had an amazing season planned for your valued audience. Well, we have a solution to still bring them live theater events with virtual Broadway cast reunions of your upcoming shows, all presented and arranged by the creators of the internet sensation.
It's time for Quarantine Cabaret Cocktails with Robert Bannon and Lee Lessack.
We bring you cast reunions of the best of Broadway, including Frozen.
Kevin and Patty take places with Oak.
Places with Ogan!
Places with
Love it.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Reminded every single day that there is a larger world outside of Broadway, and that world needed us to stop.
Aladdin.
We were babies.
Hey, baby. That's why it was so funny because Tully said, "Old Aladdin." I was like, "Old Aladdin, old genie."
That it is the most consistent group of actors, dependable.
Legally Blonde and Hairspray.
You'll recognize them when they come on the screen. Please welcome Jerry Mitchell and Mark Shaman.
Hi, Jerry and Mom. Jumps in the air. The stage manager, Bonnie Becker, calls blackout, and I'm at the back of the house, and I go, "That's it. That's the way we're gonna end the act."
Six, the musical.
Came up with this idea by Googling groups of famous women.
Yeah, I love what's a famous group of women? Like the six wives of Henry.
Falsettos.
They're in the same vicinity, even on a screen. It's like there were moments tonight. I'm like,
Theater live performance is something that just never dies. So we're gonna like weather it and slowly figure it out. And if I gotta wear a mask to go see someone perform, I'm gonna wear that mask.
Yeah,
do it.
I mean, theater has been around for centuries. It has weathered so many things. So, like, the thought that it won't come back is...
It'll come back.
Sideshow.
I have to say, I'm really glad that we're all here because so much of the time, Alice and I get asked to talk about Sideshow, and rarely is the whole principal cast.
There was never such crazy vocals as any show I've ever done is from the four of you.
What? Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktails has become your one-stop shop for the best of Broadway. Now bring those reunions to your performing arts center. Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktails, letting Broadway come to you.
Yeah. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Yeah.
Oh, good, John. It's all your fault.
I was thinking about the ideas. I'm like, so at 10% for 3 ideas, Lee ought to, there's something. So I'll look for the check in the mail. I'll look for the check.
Firstly, how are you? How is Milwaukee? I've never been to Milwaukee. I want to come to Milwaukee.
Oh, Milwaukee's a great city.
It's a great city. It's very snowy right now, and it's going to turn into a deep freeze as soon as it stops.
Okay, I'll see you in August then. I'll go over there.
You get to June, it's lovely.
Yeah. Summer makes it all worth it.
Yes. Yeah. No, I love Milwaukee.
Thank you guys.
Not in the winter. I've been snowed in Milwaukee. So.
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching our messy little fun show all of these weeks and joining us. Sometimes I forget people are actually watching us out there.
Yeah, I think the thing for me when I was talking to Lee about it was, it's everybody was going through the same thing, and to see and hear you guys going through it, staying connected to each other, because I think you guys probably started just so you could like stay connected and drink together, right?
Pretty much.
For fun. It was
when we started this show, Robert and I had never met.
No.
Oh, really? I feel like you guys have known each other forever.
I know. We had never met. Robert is working on his debut solo album, and one of his musicians called me, reached out to me, and said, "Would you take a conference call about releasing his album on my LML Music record label?" And I said yes. This was over a year ago.
Yeah.
And we talked, and that was that. And then he was going to go and go into the studio and whatnot. And then he just happened to text me like at the very beginning of quarantine with some questions. And I don't know, I had never used FaceTime before this lockdown, ever. Had you? I mean, I never really, first of all, I don't know anybody that's camera ready with no notice. And don't lie. Do not lie. So, but in the 48 hours that I was first home from my collapsed career, everybody was like dying for facial connection, And so I said to Robert, well, let's have a cocktail at 5 o'clock over FaceTime. And he said, sure. And we did, and we laughed a lot. And then the next day I get a text, are we meeting tonight? And I was like, sure. And then like 10 days later, my partner's like, who are you talking to every day? And I said to him one day, I said, I think we're really entertaining because we were just laughing every day. And I said, I think we should produce a weekly talk show. I was feeling like very Oprah, Ellen, all wrapped into one. Little Wendy Williams,
Well, that's my girl. But we never intended, as you said, for this to be anything other than just our friends in a conversation. Right. So you coming along and planting a seed about maybe there is something to reunions, like Lee told the story. The reunions were never supposed to be a thing, really, either. It's all kind of a journey.
And I think the thing that sort of hit me was like, no matter if you're, and because a lot of times people think about Broadway stars as sort of inaccessible, they're living like a different life than the rest of us. And it's, yes, they're crazy talented. Yes, they had a lot of luck to get to where they are, honestly, in many cases. But they're just people that are going through the same thing that we are. And to watch them share that reality and also the story of how they got there. And that's the thing I always appreciate you asking is, tell us your story of how you got to that background history is such a human story that makes it just absolutely fascinating to relate to.
Thank you. Well, yeah. That's part of it. I think we're really curious as to people's journey. So thank you for noticing that. I think we're fans. I think we're fans first. We're fans.
Well, and I have to say the response that we've gotten, it's a scary thing because, we've all, on this screen, I think I'm the only one that has been unemployed for 11 months. But, it's a scary thing because everybody, even the Marcus Center has been closed. So there's no income. So even though I'm very happy that you both are still working, but there's been no income to the organization. And obviously, every Broadway actor has been, sitting at home and all the people on the tour, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So there were. I remember, John, you and I went back and forth, and I would call you and I'd be like, I want to price this so that it's like so affordable and not daunting for a venue. And I called you 5 or 6 times and like, if I were to say it was this much, and you were like, no, that wasn't simple. We back and forth. I wanted to make it really accessible, like a no-brainer. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, at this price, I need 68 venues. At this price, I only need 20 venues, And anyway, it's worked out. We're getting an incredible response. I'm just thrilled. And I think that we've committed to 2 a month for 6 months. I think it's going to go on. I was talking to a publicist yesterday who represents, I don't know, a dozen Broadway tours. And they said, the tour market is going to reopen in the fall.
Yep.
It appears, right? Like October, November?
Yeah, we just announced that our first show would be in October. So.
Okay.
What is it?
Hamilton.
Yay!
I mean, why not go big or go home?
Exactly. Can you imagine the first time people are back in the theater, sitting there, and that curtain goes up? I mean, people are going to cry.
The roof's going to blow off of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I can't imagine. I may have to come to Milwaukee.
I'm coming.
No, I mean, it's incredible. And but this publicist said, I think in the fall when tours reopen, you may want to pivot the idea slightly and do cast reunions of the tour cast so that patrons can literally go backstage and meet the actors that they're about to go see, which most people don't get to do. We're lucky because we usually know somebody in a show and we go backstage and say hello, but most people don't have that experience. So we'll see. We'll see where this goes, but it's been a ride.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that I think you guys talked about that's important for us is looking forward and the education of the audience out across America that's maybe doesn't know what a show's all about, and it's going to be on our next season or 2 seasons from now. Having that sort of touch point and getting to know something about the original Broadway cast, which so few people really get to see them on stage, but it's really special. I think that's a really cool thing for our patrons to see and get to be sort of part of.
My first job ever was selling tickets in a performing arts center in Englewood, New Jersey, called the John Harm Center for the Arts. I know the community of performing arts centers around this country, outside of LA and New York, is a family, and the community of theater lovers are a family, and there's a real community. And we forget across the country there are Broadway and musical lovers everywhere. What do you guys do? I don't know what your jobs are there. What do you guys do there?
Well, John is my cohort in programming, right? And so my team does the education and outreach, and John does programming, and I have the box office team, and the marketing team works for me. So we kind of are the people trying to figure out what we need to bring into Milwaukee and get it here and get people into the seats. So, it's a really exciting thing because, as we all know, there's a lot of people on Broadway now who saw their very first show at their local performing arts center, and that kind of set the spark for them. So, we feel really lucky to be able to do that in our cities.
Yes, he worked in the box office with me. Chad did. Thank you, Chad. It's Saturday mornings. See, it's a family. You remember the people you work in the theater. It's a family.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah, I still remember my very first musical I was ever in at 14, and that I still remember those people. It was a Stephen Schwartz show, and Lee, I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember my first show I ever booked with you years ago was the Stephen Schwartz and Friends? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where we met, was through that show. And then years later, I was in a show that Heidi directed, and you were kind enough to get Stephen Schwartz to write a letter to our cast for the show. So the world is so small, and so.
Now, when you did the Stephen Schwartz and Friends, were you at Marcus Center or were you at Platteville?
No, I was at Platteville at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was pre-Wicked. That was like 2003 or something.
Yep.
Small world.
Wow, we go back.
I think we go back to 99. I was trying to think earlier today because you were with. Right. Oh, right. I think I met you at the very first Arts Midwest I ever went to, but that was a
Oh,
long,
really?
long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
Like
So
you guys literally helped us plant this seed, and if people are not a part of the communities like the Marcus Center, you can go to our website, which is BroadwayCastReunion.com, so that you're not left out. Because if you love Frozen, or you love Dear Evan Hansen, or you love Hadestown, or Jersey Boys, or What's to Come, we made the tickets as inexpensive as possible, and the money goes to help pay actors. So that's really important for us.
can I just say I love having an engineer.
Amazing.
It's a totally different experience. I literally tonight have spent all my time trying to figure out where the camera is on my computer, and, as opposed to trying to figure out how to make people come in and go out of the room.
I don't know what's going to pop up next. It's a surprise.
I love it. It's a luxury. Well, I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful to you for your ideas and your inspiration, John, always. And Heidi, at the very beginning of this conversation, John said, let's have a call with Heidi because, she's will be instrumental in whether this flies or not. And I think she'll have a lot of input. And I remember you gave us so much feedback that we were able to then take to the drawing board. And, we took copious notes of everybody that advised us. And we could not have done it without you. On top of that, the Marcus Center is one of my favorite venues to come to. We always have a great time. The food is fattening but delicious in Milwaukee.
Well, we're all anxious to be able to get you back, Lee. So.
Yes, well, we'll figure it out. John and I have been scheming.
Like that. That sounds good to me.
I know. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting this series.
Really,
We're
thank you.
excited, and I'm so glad you came on the show.
Absolutely.
It's great to see you.
Yeah.
You guys.
Stay safe. I'll
We'll
talk to you next
see you
week.
Thanks, guys. Oh my goodness. I love the support, and the love is really so overwhelming. And
Oh, they're the best. They're the best. They're the best. I have a handful, and not very many, but maybe 4 or 5 venues that are just like my family. You know what I mean? And the Marcus Center is one of them. They're lovely. Love them. And it's a gorgeous performing arts center. So, well,
I have 2 left.
I know. I'm not gonna say it. But anyway, so a friend of mine turned me on to a very talented dancer who is huge on the TikTok and on he's done this series called the Duet series, where he takes a classic clip like Gene Kelly or Fred Astaire or whatever, and he does a duet with them. He's doing their exact choreography. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. So I reached out to him to see if he wanted to join us, and he's here. He's here. Cory Lingner. Let's see a little bit.
So good.
Yay.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We are good. I was trying, we love surprises on this show.
Oh, yes, of course.
And I was trying so hard. I mean, I've met her, I've had lunch with her and whatnot, but it was very last minute because I posted a video that we're going to show of the piece you did with Gene Kelly. Well, without Gene Kelly, but with Gene Kelly.
Yes.
And somebody commented and tagged his wife, Patricia Ward Kelly. And I was like, she lives literally walking distance from my house. I've had lunch with her.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Years ago,
Small world.
she wanted me to book like a speaking tour that she was going to do. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I was trying to track her down like in the last hour to see if she would come on. I wanted to surprise you, but I never got a return call.
It's all good. Oh my gosh. It's the thought that counts.
Cory has, Lee, 4 more Broadway credits than me and you. He has 4. Me and you have 0. And
oh my gosh. Yeah, it's wild.
Is it true you started dancing at 3 years old?
Just about. I was 4. I was 4 when I started. Yeah.
So late.
So late. I was, really far behind. But yeah, there was a little dance studio that was not even 5 minutes away from my house growing up. And my brother Chris too, he also started dancing with me at the same time. And funny enough, both he and I didn't ever stop dancing. So he went more, he had some theater experience as well, but he went more in the concert dance and ballet realm. And then I ventured into musical theater land. So yeah, it's wild. The 2 brothers, dancing brothers.
But are you primarily tapper? Is that like your thing?
I definitely love to tap so much. It's always been a love of mine. And I think that was technically the very first dance class that we tried when I was like 4. But it's funny. I was just thinking back on it, as you mentioned, that I've been, knock on wood, very lucky and gotten to do 4 shows on Broadway. Weirdly enough, of all of that part of my career, they've needed more of my balletic foundation and background and less tap. And I was thinking on it, the only tap that I've done in my New York career is an American in Paris, which is a hugely balletic dance heavy show.
Right.
But there is one random number that Max von Essen, who was on your on the show, which was Stairway to Paradise. And then also the other, like, and it's even not even considered tap, but I would qualify it as such, but for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Jake, which I actually, since you mentioned him earlier in the show, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta see if I can find it. And I did. I have my iPad here, but I found a picture of me with all 3 of the Charlies. That's Jake there. And then Ryan Sell and Ryan Faust. And we used to joke that you had to have Ryan in your name somewhere to be Charlie Bucket on Broadway. Yeah. But and Charlie, for the Oompa Loompas, for our curtain like bows, we had the like curtain rise like a foot off the ground, and our little Oompa Loompa puppet feet, we did a little tap break. And I actually got to be involved in the recording of the tap sounds. So that was really fun. But yeah, I oddly enough have done more kind of ballet and like hardcore musical theater, athletic jazz than my tap skills. So this has been very, very fun for me to revisit all my love for tap with these videos.
Wow. I want to show everybody specifically the TikTok video you did with Gene Kelly.
Yeah, the very first one.
Oh, that was the first.
Yep, the first one that I started the whole endeavor with. Yeah.
Wow. Well, enjoy it. It's great.
C'est le time. Ah oui, le time. C'est le shim-sham. Ah. Chanson.
So good. It's
Thank
so
you.
good.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Your journey through dance, it's such a competitive, you think singing is competitive or acting is competitive. Dance is so incredibly competitive. Did you study it through college, and how was your journey into getting into musical theater professionally?
Yeah. Well, it all started at that dance studio. And so competition dance and conventions, that was my focused at the beginning, which I think honestly helped me learn so many different styles and different aspects of dance, and learning quickly and learning so many different routines every year that we had to compete with and whatnot. But another bonus from growing up in Indianapolis was there was a ballet company here called Ballet International, and they put on these huge extravagant shows. And the very first thing that I got to be involved with them was the Nutcracker. And I got to be a little mouse. I was the first mouse you saw on the show that had little binoculars to make sure the coast was clear. And I put the binoculars up here out of old muscle memory because our little mouse heads had the eyes up here. So, oh my gosh, muscle memory. But that gave me the first insight of ooh, so this is what professionals do, and this is what it feels like to be on a big stage and a huge audience, and not to compete against other people, and just to tell a story. And I think a lot of that really kind of put in the back of my mind, okay, this is really neat. But I just mainly focused on dance through all of that time. Even though I still had a love for the kind of flair of acting and singing, and I would sing along to Disney movies growing up and all of that and follow along. So that also kind of inspired me, because watching things like The Wizard of Oz, which I wore out the VHS tape when I was a kid. I think my parents had to buy a new tape for me of that movie, Mary Poppins. So seeing that at first, and then when I was first introduced to Singing in the Rain, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a done deal. I got to pursue whatever this is. So yeah, it wasn't until high school that I started trying more live theater opportunities that were just outside of just dance. And I come to find out I really enjoyed it and was loving it. And by the time I was ready to graduate high school, instead of just pursuing dance, I wanted to continue to dance, but also learn about the singing and acting thing. So I looked into musical theater programs and auditioned at a couple, but got into the University of Oklahoma out in Norman, Oklahoma. And which went great. They're a school of musical theater, which I don't know if that's still the only one, but definitely at the time I was there was the only school of musical theater, because all the other musical theater departments around the country and around the world, it's a department of the School of Music or the School of Acting or Drama or what have you. So it had the intensity of a conservatory, but then it was on a state campus, so you got the full spectrum college experience, I guess. But yeah, that was very helpful for me, and I'm glad that I spent the time and money to invest in learning and fine-tuning those skills before I moved to New York, because it thankfully paid off.
It's a lot of hard work. That's a lot of years of hard work.
A lot of years, yes.
So you have an event, a live virtual event, because you're performing in a theater.
Yeah.
For Valentine's, right?
Yes. Next week, actually.
Don't be nervous.
No, it's going to be great. But it's been blowing off the dust here, what it feels like being back on a stage. But there's a Valentine's Day concert that the folks here, which you mentioned earlier, pal of mine, Tom Alvarez, who runs Magic Thread Cabaret with his business partner, Dustin Klein, reached out when he found out I was here in Indianapolis, because I've been going back and forth between New York and here during all the shutdown months. But he was curious as to if I was interested to perform in some sort of live stream event. And I was like, absolutely. Are you kidding? I'm eager to do something.
Sure.
And it's very exciting. It's all going to be, love songs themed related, but I think it'll be a good time. There will be tap, if you can believe it. There's going to be some tap in the show.
But we've got a little promo I want to show, but before that, we have some viewers that have questions for you.
Oh, sure.
Who is your favorite dancer who also sings?
Oh my gosh. Well, I could definitely name a few, but I think one that's really grown on me recently, and I'm just so impressed with what he was capable of doing, was Donald O'Connor. I mean, I love seeing both of them, Gene and him, and Singing in the Rain. But when I started learning more about Donald and what he could do, he could be the second banana slapstick funny guy like in Singing in the Rain, or he could be the romantic lead in some of these movie musicals. And also his background in vaudeville, plus he can show off some more gymnastic skills and super impressive tapping skills, and had a great voice. So I
love that when I saw you do the Bang Bang duet with Sammy Davis Jr. from Robin and the Seven Hoods, because our very dear friend Barbara Rush starred in that film with Frank Sinatra.
Oh my gosh. Small world.
I know. I think
that's
we
the
have
theme
more,
tonight.
Yeah, I think we have more questions. Do we have more questions? I think we do. Maybe
Look at us. We have audience questions.
Were you in a show when Broadway shut down?
I was in rehearsals, yes, for a show with New York City Encores. We were about to do the first production since the original Broadway production of Love Life with New York City Encores. And we got through a week of rehearsals. And on that last day of that first week is when things started to shut down. And the really cool thing was we found out that Broadway was shutting down and all of that right before lunch. And instead of just telling us to go home then, they said, no, like they could have, but they're like, no, come back. Let's do a full run through of the show because we hadn't done that yet. So let's just see what we created. And the studio's there at New York City Encores. It's beautiful, old, like Art Deco-y, gorgeous space, but there's no windows. So it thankfully kind of blocked out all of the mayhem and madness that was going on outside. And it just focused on us and what we were doing and the fact that we did this show for the first time since like 1947. It was really cool and emotional and in the best way. So
wow, I love that. Yeah. And we have another question. What is your dream role?
Oh, Tom, my dream role, it's a toss-up, but I would definitely say either Bert and Mary Poppins or the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz. I would love to I haven't done them yet, so I'd love to play either of them.
You are absolutely perfect for literally both of them.
Both of them.
So anybody that wants to do that down the road, let me know.
You're available. I want to have a look at the commercial for your virtual concert for Valentine's.
Yes. That music.
Well, she's Melissa, no slouch herself.
I know, right?
Melissa's incredible, and I didn't get a chance to talk about her before that, but she is amazing. She's a triple threat. She and I go way back. Actually, my very first community theater show that I did here in Indianapolis was with her. She was our Peggy Sawyer, and that's how we first met. And she and I have been in New York doing the New York thing for me. It's been over 7 years, but we were both back here in the city. And when I was got this opportunity from Magic Thread, I was like, are you in town? Do you want to do this with me? And of course, thankfully she said yes. So it's going to be a collaboration between the two of us. And she's also a terrific tapper. So we're excited to share what we do with everybody.
Fantastic. I cannot thank you enough for jumping on board and coming to hang out with us. You are super talented. Gosh. It's just
so
a joy. It's just a joy. I wish I could dance.
I can't.
Oh my gosh.
I can't wait to see the next duets you have in videos. You could follow you on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah. Just it's my name for all of that stuff. So with your this is incredible, you guys.
We have an engineer now.
Engineer, production value.
Find it, Cory Lingner. Watch it. We'll see what's the next duet.
I love it.
I will say the one for tomorrow has been requested several times by people, and I'm finally getting around to it. And this particular entertainer, well known, but he definitely, has his own unique style. So that definitely took me a minute to cycle through what exactly he was doing with his feet. But I think I got a take that's well enough. That'll work.
Wow. Well, please come back anytime you want. Just let us know. Anytime. Yeah.
I would love that. And also, I don't think I put it on camera though, but I did partake, since this is quarantine cabaret and cocktails. I made, it's not fancy at all by any means, but I have one.
Where's Michael? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers. I just found the camera.
It's right there.
Well, Cory,
oh my gosh.
The best to be yet to come. Congratulations.
Yes.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you, Lee. Thank you, Robert. I really appreciate you guys, and this was such a joy. Let's do it more often.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you so much. Well, how sweet. I'm in awe of dancers. I was
just going to say, my hat is off to anyone that can dance, because I got to the point when I was living in New York, like I would go to the vocal call, and then I get a call back and I wouldn't even go. Let me save you some time.
And to be able to dance with the greats next to them and be able to do it as effortlessly as he does is really something special. He's great.
He's very talented. He's very talented. Love it.
Lee,
Love it.
I think you have an interview coming up.
A what?
You have I saw in the materials, you have an interview coming up.
I do. Many of you probably know him, Richard Skipper. He's first of all, he's a wonderful person. I've known him, I don't even know how long, like a long time. And he had a very successful career impersonating Carol Channing. He's really wonderful. He's really, really wonderful. And now he's been doing this YouTube series of interviews. And he asked me if he could interview me on my birthday. And, I'm not doing anything. So
I believe this is your life retrospectives coming up.
No, I love him. He's great. He's great. And I think it'll be, I like interviewing people. I don't necessarily like being interviewed as much, but
I had that when I read that there's an article out that we did an interview about the album and blah, blah, blah. And it's out, and reading the first paragraph, I was like, oh, I can't read the rest. I don't want to see what they say. There's an article.
I think I have a banner or poster for the interview with Richard. It's on the 20th of February.
I did my research. I was ready. There it is.
At 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And it's on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, questions.
I think you just go to Richard Skipper Celebrates. I don't know.
He digs. He's gonna find the real truth story behind Lee Lessack. You better all watch out.
Okay, well, that's gonna be a short interview. But anyway. Hey, guess what's happening on February 17th?
I know what's happening on February. I know where I'm gonna be.
Where are you gonna be?
I'm gonna be right here.
For what?
Here, February 17th for the first edition of the Broadway cast reunion series with the whole entire cast of Frozen.
Yes! Look at that cast. Patty Murin, Casey Levy, John Riddle, Andrew Perozzi, Jelani Aladdin, Kevin Delaguila, Robert Crichton, Timothy Hughes.
Live.
Oh my God.
Live.
Wow. I love it.
Live.
And where can people get tickets?
They can get tickets at BroadwayCastReunion.com. It'll take you right to
You literally feel like I am talking to God. God is in the room. He's answering all of my questions.
Yes, Jonathan. Yes.
For those of you that just tuned in, we have an engineer for the first time ever.
It's like a magic trick. You're like, look, no hands. Things pop up on there.
I'm not sure we can do this show again without him.
No, I don't know. We're going to have to try to make a deal to afford him. Oh, no.
I can see him. Yeah, he's sitting backstage like this.
That's it. Make it rain, Jonathan Hawkins. That's it.
I love it. But it does make a huge difference.
It really does. That was so much fun. We new elements to the show.
He came up with He was like putting all the information up.
Ask a question. I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? I was so excited. Well, we're gonna have so much more. We have a theme song. We have all sorts of. We're pulling out all the stops for the Broadway cast series.
Yes, we are. And so next week, we love celebrating musicians, vocalists that have projects, new projects. So we've got two artists that have new albums out, Justin Utley and David Hernandez. David was on American Idol. I don't know Justin, so I'm interested to interview him and find out about him. I watched his video and I was very entertained. And I just found out like 30 minutes before our show that the delightfully, gorgeously talented Jane Monheit is going to be with us. She's doing a Valentine's concert next weekend, I think on the 12th. And she has a new album coming out. And she may have, I'm not saying she did, but she may have recorded a duet on Robert's album that we're so proud of. And so, yeah, so she's coming on the show, which is great. Right?
That is Grammy nominee, the voice of Jane Monheit. Whoa, whoa.
I love it. And then the following week, are you ready for this? Leslie Ann Warren and Renee Taylor. I'm not sure if they should be on the screen at the same time.
I'm ready for all of that.
I am ready. I am such a fan.
I'm so excited for this. This is the only place that we get away with these shows week after week with this potpourri of just amazing talent.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you all for joining us week after week. We love it. And our guests, Heidi and John from the Marcus Center, Cory Lingner. Make sure you follow him on every platform.
Sorry.
And I know, big heart. And Jonathan Hawkins, our production designer, engineer. He's the best. And boy, did he make this easy.
We're not worthy.
I love it. I love it. All right.
See you next week.
Stay safe. We'll see you next